Through this process, how much have you grown and how much have you learned?
I'm not really going to talk about it. It's behind me. I'm just trying to start a new page, a new chapter, and I'm going to thank, this Cowboys organization for being behind me. Thank for my family and my team and my friends for just supporting me through the time, and especially the Cowboys fans who stuck by me through this tough time and haven't lost faith in me. But I'm not talking about it anymore. This is going to be the last time you hear me speak about it, so please don't even ask me about it.
What was the reception like going back to this locker room?
It was great. The energy was high. I missed all the guys. They missed me, and we're excited to continue the season.
Okay, you're not going to talk about the prospect. Can you talk about what you did the last 6 weeks?
No.
What about the documentary, and what message do you want to come across through the documentary?
Just watch it. Just tell me the message you get.
When's it going to come out?
I don't know.
Can you talk about at least what went into some of your conditioning?
I'm ready to talk about the Seattle Seahawks. I'm ready to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not speaking on it anymore.
Why is it that you don't want to talk about that?
All right, I'm done. Thank you.
Cowboys, Raiders, both teams needed to win. Cowboys did win. Tom, second quarter, Rod Smith plunges it into the end zone, 10-0 Cowboys. Move to the third now, Cowboys still up 10. Here's Marshawn Lynch on the flip, takes it toward the goal line, does get taken down there at the 3, but Derek Carr is going to find the end zone with Michael Crabtree up over the top. It's 10-7 now, Cowboys, third quarter still. All right, late third now, 10-10 tie. Prescott with time, looking. Why not just call the quarterback draw?
Works every time.
That's right, Cowboys up 17-10. Ensuing drive for the Raiders. Carr does it again, finding Crabtree on the rollout, 17 all. All right, here's where it gets interesting, right, Tom? 4th and 1, quarterback sneak, Dak Prescott.
Terrible play design, by the way.
Terrible everything. Terrible spot, terrible play design, terrible spot, terrible play design, terrible piece of paper to measure. What the heck is Gene Steratore doing? He can barely contain his laughter. First down, Cowboys. There
Don't care, it worked.
All right. Then Dak to Dez. Hey, Dez made a play.
Yeah.
Dez didn't show up otherwise in this game, but big play there. Cowboys do not punch it in, however. Dan Bailey finding the concussion protocol, kicks it up and good, 20-17 Cowboys. All right, Carr looking, last chance, finds Anthony Brown. Oh, he had it. Pick six would have done it, everything. Big pass interference penalty after that. Carr, he's going to try and do it himself to win the game. Lunges for the end zone. Looks like touchdown, out of bounds. What was it? What was it? What was it, Tom? We know what it was. They're going to talk about it a little bit. Jeff Heath got there. Carr fumbles it out of the back of the end zone. Cowboys win 20-17. Cowboys stay alive in the playoff hunt. We're going to talk about that playoff picture here on the Cowboys Report in just a little bit.
Like I've been saying all year long, Jeff Heath, my all-time favorite Cowboy player.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Tom's favorite Cowboy player, Jeff Heath, in just a little bit as well. Throw up your reactions here to get the party started. Was Jeff Heath the man for the Cowboys against the Raiders? Was the folded piece of paper the man?
Still a piece of paper, by the way.
It was. Dak Prescott or Chris Jones, who had not shown in that highlight package a very critical fake punt run, which, Tom, was not by design.
It was he has the green light to do it in certain scenarios, and I guess at this point against the Raiders, it was you have the green light unless you're standing in your own end zone.
I mean, he was basically standing in his own end zone.
It was 4th and 11 from like the 24-yard line, so he was backed up like at his own 5 or 10. And
yeah,
it worked. Don't care, it worked.
The key to it there was the fact that the Cowboys then went and scored
huge play
the touchdown. All right, we want to welcome you guys into the Cowboys Report. I am Brett Scott. This guy is Tom Downey. We've got a lot to get to today. Cowboys beat the Raiders last week. We're getting to the Cowboys Seahawks preview this week. And Tom, we are talking playoff picture and playoff scenarios. There are plenty of scenarios where the Cowboys still get in. But note, folks, it's still a 3 to 5% chance that the Cowboys do get in. Before we move on from the Raiders game, though, Tom,
what you got?
The production team uncovered some footage of you and me during that first down debacle.
That's not great. I don't know. We weren't exactly on our best behavior.
Let's actually take a look.
Okay. Jason Witten, first down, move the chains. Might not have got the first down. Are they challenging it? 4th and 1. Go for it. QB sneak. That's got to be a first down. Oh my God. Is that a first down? That's the closest I've ever seen a measurement. He just put a note card in between. What is that supposed to do? Have you seen this before? First down, baby! A note card saved our season! Yo, look it up. Look it up. It's a rule. I'm scared. My blood pressure cannot take this. I'm too young to die.
Comedian and Cowboys superfan Scooter Magruder there.
Very accurate.
Go check it
Very
out on
accurate.
YouTube. It is hilarious. He goes through the entire Raiders game, and that one in particular, pretty much me and Tom to a T. Yeah. When Gene Steratore pulls out the piece of paper.
My actual favorite part was he made a comment about why is Jason Witten blocking Khalil Mack in the first place. Verbatim what I said out loud.
All right, I'm looking through the comments, seeing a lot of people from all over the country. We are America's team. North Carolina, what up? Brazil, Victor in Brazil this week. Washington, D.C., Augusta, Georgia. How about the Masters? Montgomery, Alabama, and more. LA, California as well. All right, let's get into it though. Zeke is back this week, folks, and that's the big topic. You saw it out of the outset. He's not very happy, and that may be a good thing, Tom.
Yeah, he looked, he's angry right now. I can tell that obviously he does not want to talk about the suspension. He doesn't want to talk about what he was doing in Cabo and all that. Although he did come back, by the way, completely shredded. He is now cut as can be. So I don't know what his training was in the offseason versus what he did in Cabo. Stick with the Cabo program because it worked. He is huge now. So I'm curious to see how he comes back because obviously he is in great shape. But I do want to see if he's in game shape because there is a difference even though he's very clearly great. Maybe he took some David Irving tips and came back in that type of form.
Yeah, I mean, the pictures say a lot. I mean, that interview said a lot too. He seems very focused on getting back and getting down to business. Now, we'll see if that translates into the game. I mean, it did take him a couple of games at the beginning of the season to kind of get things back to normal.
Kind of saw that last year too in his first year when he was coming off the injury as well. So it might be a scenario where Zeke is maybe just a slightly slow starter, and the more work he does, the better flow he's in overall.
And Tom, I've never heard you talk so much about a man being shredded.
I am trying to keep it PG here, Brett. Or at least PG-13.
Yeah, Zeke looking good. Cowboys against Seattle. Seattle just got shredded themselves by the Rams running game. Could that be a formula for this week, Tom?
Well, I think Seattle forgot to show up last week against the Rams. So hopefully we see more of the same. I'm very curious to see how Seattle comes out because now they are absolutely desperate. I think I made a comment on one of our NFL Daily shows that Seattle was desperate and someone said that they weren't. Clearly they were not because they didn't play like it. I want to see how Seattle comes out this week.
All right, stay tuned here. We're going to get into that Cowboys-Seahawks preview. Got another reaction poll. Will the Cowboys finish at 10-6, 9-7, or 8-8? Cowboys finish up with the Seahawks and with the Philadelphia Eagles. Tom, where are you sitting? You still leaning toward that 9-7?
I am not going to give it away. We will do that in predictions because I have mentioned this before. They will beat the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 17. But I'm not going to give it away. All comes down to this week.
So if that's the case, I'm sitting there with that heart button at 10-6. We've got playoff picture and playoff scenarios coming up, folks. Don't want to miss that. Lots of scenarios out there for the Cowboys to still get in. But for now, we're going to start with the Ring of Honor, the top Cowboys of the 2017 season. And we start off at number 10 with Jeff Heath. And Tom, your boy is in the Ring of Honor.
This is a one-week edition only just for this week. Jeff Heath is in the Ring of Honor. Look, he saved the Cowboys season. And I'm not going to say anything bad about Jeff Heath today. I made that promise on last week's show in the instant recap of that game. Congrats, Jeff Heath. That is a huge play there. The Cowboys secondary in general needs guys that make more plays. They need more playmakers. And frankly, Jeff Heath has been one of the best playmakers this year for the Dallas Cowboys. 3 forced fumbles, including that one, 3 interceptions. He stepped up in a huge way against the Raiders. That forced fumble there keeps the Cowboys seasons alive. I am fine with it.
I mean, Raiders fans they're just wondering what happened to Derek Carr this season. Carr tries to make a play.
Yeah.
Heath just makes a play himself and saved the Cowboys season. Hey, Producer Harris, I think we've got some more footage This of Tom and Brett during that last drive. Let's take a look.
Can't let him score a touchdown. Send into overtime, we can still win. Jeff Heath, nice pass breakup. 3rd down and 3. He's gonna run it in for a touchdown. Oh my God, that's a touchback! That's a touchback! He fumbled it! Yes! Let's go! Let's go! That's a touchback! That is a... Bro. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes! He fumbled it!
Love Scooter there. Just too much hilarity. I saw that video and I just had to. I mean, I was sitting over.
You jumped up and down next to me.
I was sitting over in pre-production just chuckling the whole time. Hey, real quick, Tom, I want to make a quick shout out. In the comments, we got Mark David Smolin saying, hey, Mark is the biggest NFL fan. He comes on all of our NFL shows, always comments. He loves the NFL so much that he is always on Chat Sports commenting. We appreciate him watching our shows all the time. Let's get back to the Ring of Honor. At number 9, the top Cowboys of the 2017 season is Jason Witten.
I'm kind of curious the way the Cowboys used Witten last week. He was kind of into block a little bit more frequently. James Hanna was downfield running some routes when they used 2 tight end sets. And as we showed earlier in the show, I don't like it when Jason Witten is blocking Khalil Mack man-to-man. That's bad play design. But Witten was Jason Witten. He found ways to get open when he really shouldn't. I think this play in particular, like, they just forgot about Jason Witten. You got 2 linebackers there in the middle of the field. Like this view next here, the overhead view, the all-22 view. Jason Witten is just uncovered. Like, teams just forget about him.
Well, I just don't know how he finds so much space because he's not that fast anymore. But
he's not that fast. He's not that athletic, but it works.
It's a big deal. All right, number 8 on the Ring of Honor is Dez Bryant. Still just not really having the season that people want him to have, but it's just a different offense. Dez did come up with 1 huge catch that led to the game-winning field goal.
I think this catch here too was very important.
You're right, Tom. This was a critical play as well. It was 1st and 20 after a holding penalty. This was after the fake punt leading to the touchdown. So 2 big plays, even though he didn't show up otherwise in the stat sheet.
Yeah, something is not right with the Dak-Dez connection. There were some plays where Dak missed Dez or Dez ran the wrong route or whatever. One of which led to an interception, though I think that was actually just the miscommunication between Dak and Dez versus finishing the route against man-to-man or sitting out in the zone. Dez just doesn't quite look himself, and that's what concerns me.
Yep. All right, moving on. Number 7 on the Ring of Honor this year is Dak Prescott. Prescott was 18 of 27, 212, did have 2 picks. He was okay against the Raiders, I guess.
Yeah, I would have liked him to play what we saw against the Giants because this is not a good Raiders defense.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I just didn't like the play calling and the game plan against the Raiders. Cowboys really... I give the Raiders some credit, too. The Raiders showed up. Both teams were out there fighting for their playoff lives. Cowboys just happened to come out on top.
We could have had a different discussion here. There were a couple deep throws. I think the one that comes to mind is the throw to Cole Beasley where it was a tough catch. It went through Cole's hands. It was a really good throw by Dak deep downfield, which isn't typically his strength. And let's not forget that he does have the ability on the ground. And I think that's a big factor there. 32 yards, one a key 2nd down pickup on the read option, then the de facto quarterback draw there. Dak is who he is at this point. He wasn't great against the Raiders, but now Zeke is back, and I think we can move on.
All right, number 6 on the Cowboys Ring of Honor, top Cowboys of the 2017 season, center Travis Frederick, just named to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, so a well-deserved honor there for Frederick. He's been great this year. He continues to be, Travis Frederick, a pick that I didn't like at the time because I thought it was too early, but you know what? You get a Pro Bowl, a year-in, year-out Pro Bowl center in the late 1st round, that's a success.
For those of you that watch the Cowboys Report religiously, we thank you. And the rest of the Ring of Honor, you're pretty much going to know what it is because it hasn't changed. Number 5 is Zach Martin.
I don't know what I could possibly change at this point outside of dropping guys down for injury, which we've tried to not do for the most part this year, especially because those are the important guys.
We'll get to the guy I think we could have dropped down. We'll go to number 4, and that's Zeke. We get Zeke back from the 6-game suspension. Cowboys went 3-3 during his suspension, which...
about what we could hope for.
I suppose after some guy said they'd go 6-0.
Brett. I think with Zeke, I actually did almost move him up this week because of we'll talk about another guy here coming up. I do think after this week, assuming we get, the Zeke we know and love and cheer for, I think we'll see him rise up to at least 3 next week.
I
couldn't drop a guy who didn't play for a guy who didn't play.
Cowboys' run game was not that great against Oakland. Was good against the Giants. Wasn't that great against Oakland. And you get it back against the Seahawks defense that's struggling.
A banged up Seahawks defense as well.
Yeah. All right, number 3, this is the guy I think we could have dropped down, and that's David Irving. And the reason, Tom, I say it is, well, he hasn't played 6 games this season either.
Yeah, that's a big concern for me for David Irving. He's been so effective, though, in the games that he has played. We'll talk more about David Irving and his injury later on in the show. I have some serious concerns there about him going forward, but I'm a big fan of what we've seen on David Irving on the field-wise.
All right, let's keep moving on. Ring of Honor, the top Cowboys of the 2017 season. What more can you say about Sean Lee? He's the most important player on this Cowboys team.
Dude is a stud. Week in and week out, he is just all over the field. That Giants game, he had 18 tackles, a couple of them for tackles for loss. He was also very effective against the Raiders, being, well, the Sean Lee that we expect to see week in and week out. When Sean Lee is on the field, it is at least a 10-point swing for this Cowboys defense. Sometimes it goes up to 20. And that's what we saw this year. And I think the level of offenses being played against was a factor there. But I think with Sean Lee on the field, the Cowboys defense is a borderline top 10 defense, which is a playoff caliber, none of that, Super Bowl caliber team.
Yeah, going to need him this week against Russell Wilson and that Seahawks offense, which is very dangerous, even though they looked lost last week.
We'll discuss that later.
Yeah. All right, and hopefully that part will go into number 1 on the Ring of Honor, and that's DeMarcus Lawrence. Still second.
No, he's third now.
Third now in the NFL in sacks, was also named to the Pro Bowl.
Chandler Jones and Calais Campbell have jumped him. Jones kind of made a big push up lately. With DeMarcus Lawrence, especially the last 2 weeks, the sacks haven't been there, but the pressure and the disruption has still been there. And I know it's not the same as a sack, but sometimes just getting pressure on that quarterback, forcing a throwaway, forcing a bad throw is just as effective. I mean, we've seen times where you get pressure, there's not a sack, ends up being an interception. Yeah, so I've been super impressed by what we've seen from DeMarcus Lawrence week in and week out.
Yeah, it wasn't nearly as impactful against the Raiders, but he did pressure Carr a couple of times, make Carr move around. And Carr's just, he's just had trouble this year, and he shows the panic a little bit more than some quarterbacks do, like a Carson Wentz maybe in that young quarterback class.
He sometimes has his brother's issue of pressure kind of wilts under it.
Yeah. All right, that's the Cowboys Ring of Honor, the top Cowboys of the 2017 season. Today's Cowboys Report is sponsored by The Guild. Visit stayguild.com. Use that promo code CHATSPORTS for 15% off your next stay in Austin, Texas. The Guild, a new concept in hospitality in Austin. And if you're taking a trip to Austin, stay with The Guild. Luxury lodging at the best residential buildings there in the heart of Texas. It's like a luxury Airbnb that comes with a virtual concierge. And Tom, they've got new locations opening up in Nashville, Miami, and right here in Dallas, Texas. So if you need a little staycation here in Dallas, visit stayguild.com and use that promo code.
When you come to see a game, right? I know there are a bunch of guys or a bunch of people watching that don't live in Dallas. Hey, when you come to visit for a game, stay with the Guild.
All right, Tom, here's what everybody really wants to know, and that's the NFC playoff picture. Can the Cowboys still make the playoffs? The answer is
yes.
Yes.
Technically.
Technically.
Yeah.
All right, division leaders, the Eagles have wrapped up the NFC East at 12-2. They have clinched that division title. Vikings have clinched their division title in the North. Rams, Saints, they're at 10-4, their respective division leaders as well. Here's where it gets interesting for the Cowboys fans. Panthers and Falcons currently hold wild card slots at 10-4 and 9-5.
Bucs didn't help them out on Monday night.
Bucs did
close.
Bucs did not get the win that the Cowboys needed against the Falcons on Monday Night Football. In the hunt, 3 teams at 8-6. They are all still mathematically alive and well for now. But time is running out. Cowboys schedule. The Cowboys have the Seattle Seahawks this week, 3:25 Central Time here in Dallas. And then week 17, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Link.
Going to be very tough here for the Cowboys. First off, we're going to look through some scenarios here. Every scenario requires the Cowboys to win out. There is no longer a situation here where if the Cowboys lose a game, they can still get in. If they lose, it's over.
Very simple. Cowboys must make 2 wins.
And I think those 2 wins there, we'll come back to this here in a little bit as well here. The Cowboys, they got to find ways to win. And really, you're looking at 4 teams that you're paying attention to. The Falcons, the Lions, the Panthers, and the Saints. They're all scenarios here where they can get in. If those teams lose in the proper fashion, that the Cowboys can get in.
All right, let's go to scenario 1 here. How the Cowboys make the playoffs. They can be in the wild card via the best record for the 6th seed, and that's if they win the last 2 games. Again, Cowboys must win 2 games. They lose one of them, they are out. All right, For them to get that 6th seed outright, Cowboys win 2 games and Atlanta loses 2 games, plus Detroit loses 1 game.
This is the easiest scenario. If there is easiest. Easiest here is very much in quotes because the Cowboys, there are still scenarios with the Panthers and the Saints and whatnot, but if the Falcons can lose their next 2 games, which is, I think, possible, they have a tough schedule with the Saints and the Panthers coming up. What actually can touch me the most, Brett, is Detroit and their easy schedule the rest of the way, including a Packers team that is not going to have Aaron Rodgers.
Yep, Packers are out of it, so the Packers won't be playing for anything in Week 17, and that helps out the Lions. I mean, the Lions, Bengals, right, this week? Bengals and the Packers. Lions are looking pretty good to make the playoffs still. They could get to that 10-6 mark fairly easily. Let's go to scenario number 2. Cowboys can be in via a tiebreaker over Carolina based on the conference win percentage. All right, how does that work out? Cowboys win 2 games, of course. That's always and always. Carolina loses their last 2 games, plus Detroit loses 1 game.
The issue with this scenario, and this is going to be the issue for the next one, you still need Detroit to find a way to lose a game. The Panthers are at home against the Bucs this week. I have a tough time seeing Carolina getting upset. So in this scenario there, it's not likely. There is a chance here you're just getting an upset in the Falcons at home against the Panthers, finding a way to win the game. So you're not necessarily cheering here for the Panthers or Falcons or Saints quite yet. You're going to wait and see what happens with the Falcons-Saints game in particular. And then you're going to try and make a decision, okay, who are we cheering for this week?
All right, scenario number 3. Cowboys can get in via tiebreaker over New Orleans.
It's a very similar scenario there. The Saints lose their next 2 games. The issue is for the Saints that they do play the Falcons, that one is going to be at home. They nearly beat Atlanta on the road. Then they go on the road and face the Bucs.
We'll get into all of these teams and their schedules once again after these scenarios. There are 2 more scenarios in which the Cowboys make the playoffs. Scenario number 4. Cowboys are in via a tiebreaker over both New Orleans and Carolina. So Cowboys win 2 games. Both New Orleans and Carolina lose their last 2 games. This would also have the Detroit Lions as the 5th seed.
Yeah, this is a very complicated one because it requires the Panthers and Saints to both lose out. This is the we don't care what happens to Detroit scenario, which is helpful, but the Saints-Panthers schedule isn't all that great. So Detroit gets the number 5 seed based on win percentage in common games against the Cowboys. And they also beat Carolina head-to-head, and New Orleans based on conference games. Dallas then gets the number 6 seed over New Orleans based on the best win percentage in conference games. And then the division tiebreaker between the Saints and Panthers was used to eliminate Carolina.
All right, scenario number 5, the last of the 5 scenarios in which the Cowboys make the playoffs, probably the least likely scenario, and that's the Cowboys actually getting the 5th seed via tiebreakers over New Orleans, Carolina, and Detroit.
Again, there's a chance.
Cowboys win 2 games. New Orleans, Carolina, and Detroit all lose 2 games.
In this super complicated scenario here,
I don't know. This one's not that complicated. It's just, I think,
the tiebreakers are
0.1% chance of happening.
This gets them the 5 seed. The Falcons sneak in and win the NFC South. Dallas wins the tiebreaker over New Orleans based on best win percentage in conference games. And then the tiebreaker was used to initially eliminate Carolina as well. This is, and Detroit is, of course, out of the playoffs altogether. New Orleans gets in over Carolina because of head-to-head win percentage.
All right, those are 5 scenarios in which the Cowboys make the playoffs. Let's look at the teams that the Cowboys are up against when it comes down to it. Let's start with the Panthers and the Saints. Both teams sitting there at 10-4. The only way they come into play for the Cowboys is if both or either lose their last 2 games, because the best the Cowboys can do is get to 10-6. And so the Panthers or Saints would have to lose 2 games to get to 10-6. Panthers have the Bucs. Panthers have the Falcons. Saints have the Falcons, and Saints have the Bucs. Very simple. They play the NFC South.
See, this is actually what concerns me and is the end. Is we just saw the Bucs not be able to pull it out against the Falcons. I think you would agree with me. Panthers and Saints are better teams.
Yeah, I think the Panthers and Saints are in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I agree. And so I don't think this is where the Cowboys fans are going to pay the most attention. It's definitely worth monitoring here. Maybe if something screwy happens with like the Falcons beat the Saints, maybe then you have to really, really cheer for the Bucs. But I think in general, you're in the end, Cowboys fans are cheering for the Panthers and the Saints because the more likely outcome is that the Falcons come up short, and then we'll get to Detroit as well.
Now let's take a look at the Falcons and Detroit. Falcons at 9-5. The Lions at 7-6. Falcons have the Saints and the Panthers. So that's where the Cowboys still have their path. The path really still goes through Atlanta because Atlanta has a tough road to sow these last 2 games. But if Atlanta gets one of them, which is easily possible, they've beaten plenty of good teams this year. They've got the Carolina game at home as well. The Falcons would be in if they're sitting there at 10-6 because the Falcons beat the Cowboys.
What concerns me the most here about Detroit is where they currently sit. They play the Packers this week. The Packers are going to be without Aaron Rodgers. That does not set up well for them.
Lions are actually 8-6.
Yes.
We haven't updated that graphic accurately. We'll get that one pushed. Bengals and Packers for the Lions. Cowboys must get 1 loss from the Lions if the Cowboys can get in over the Lions.
So
because the Lions would hold a tiebreaker over the Cowboys.
Falcons and the Lions are the 2 key areas here for the Dallas Cowboys. You need Detroit to get upset at some point because, yeah, they're going on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are not a good football team right now. It looks like they've kind of quit at times here. And then with the Green Bay Packers, no Aaron Rodgers. Even though it's a home game, I'm not feeling super confident about that.
Those are your playoff scenarios. Cowboys still have a chance. It's still literally a 3 to 5% chance if you're looking at it mathematically. It's a tough one, but hey, if you're a Cowboys fan, first things first, Cowboys must win this weekend. And let's get into it, Tom.
Yeah.
All right, Cowboys Seahawks this weekend, 4:25 Eastern Time on Fox.
Big game. This is, folks, is a true playoff elimination game. The loser is out. Loser's season is over, though. They'll sit there at 8-7 with no chance to make the postseason. Seattle came out in a game that they pretty much had to win. They laid a goose egg. Like, it was an awful, awful game that the Seahawks played against the Rams. Hopefully, more of the same for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, will the Seahawks show up this week? But will the Cowboys show up too? I mean, the Cowboys the last 2 games have struggled and struggled, but did win and win. They get Zeke back this week. Maybe no Tyron Smith, though. And that
no other guys, too.
Is a big deal. Let's take a look at the Cowboys injury report as we get into this Cowboys and Seahawks preview. David Irving, Tyron Smith, Orlando Scandrick, all questionable.
I do not think we'll see David Irving. We'll get to his tweet in a little bit here, but he's still battling those concussions. Tyron Smith, Brett, I don't think we're going to see him either. I think that sprained ACL depends on the severity of it. Best case, maybe he plays through the pain and the injury and risks re-aggravating it. Worst case for Tyron Smith is he can miss up to a month or more here. If it's a severe sprain, I don't think we're going to see Tyron Smith this week, folks.
The Cowboys, if they win, are technically not eliminated still. So you kind of have a game of chicken in a way to play with Tyron Smith and whether or not it's worth holding him out an extra week to have him ready for Week 17 if Week 17 matters.
Yeah, the issue is it's almost it might be a scenario, Brett, where it's there's a good chance that he's not going to be ready to go until the playoffs if that becomes the case because I think that the knee is a big issue there. We saw it live against the Raiders. He didn't look right when he kind of got rolled up and the knee was bothering him. Byron Bell will likely get the start again at left tackle if Smith can't go, and we'll see. And I think that's an area to be concerned about. Then we'll talk more about that here in a little bit in the show.
Let's take a look at David Irving's player card here. He's missed the last 2 weeks with a concussion. He tweeted about it this week. He's still dealing with headaches, which more or less to me means he hasn't cleared the concussion protocol.
He has not cleared concussion protocol if he's still dealing with those headaches. And that's actually very concerning for me. Not just about David Irving this year, but David Irving going forward, because when you play football, the concussion you get in the NFL is far from the first concussion you suffered. You get concussions in grade school and high school, at the pro level, in college. So I actually am concerned about David Irving. I am sure that he's concerned because he's trying to get back on the field. There's also the long-term health factor here. You get too many concussions and your brain is not right. Having the headache still, we're approaching 2 weeks now, that is genuinely concerning for me.
Let's take a look at the Seahawks injury report here. One key one that I'm looking at is defensive tackle Nazir Jones.
I like Jones a lot. He's a rookie at North Carolina. I think he's going to be able to play. KJ Wright also going to be back this week from injury. Bobby Wagner should play as well. Bradley McDougall is questionable, but my expectation is that he is able to play. as he has helped replace Cam Chancellor, who's been banged up as of late.
So more or less, it looks like the Seahawks are getting somewhat healthy on that defensive side of the ball.
Now, they're still going to miss guys like Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor. They're not quite going to be – I don't think they're going to be as bad as we saw last week against the Rams. I don't think they're going to be as good as they should be when they're fully healthy because of the guys they're missing, namely in that secondary. But compared to the Cowboys here, I think that they are in much better, compared to the Cowboys, Seattle's in much better shape. Also, you saw on that list, Benson Mayowa, probably not going to play this week either. We'll talk more about who has to step up and replace him.
All right, for those of you just joining us, this is the Cowboys Report here on Dallas Cowboys by Chat Sports. Be sure to like the page so that you're notified whenever we go live. We will be live immediately following the Seahawks game with those highlights and analysis after a Cowboys victory, hopefully. I am Brett Scott. That guy is Tom Downey. Follow him on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. Tom, let's get into it. Your keys to the game, Cowboys, Seahawks. First and foremost, Russell Wilson.
I am cheating, actually. I am cheating here by having two different options of harassing but also containing Russell Wilson. And I'm looking at DeMarcus Lawrence in particular. Jermaine Ifedi is the Seahawks right tackle. DeMarcus Lawrence should feast this week. Like the Cowboys front four should be able to get plenty of pressure against a Seattle offensive line that outside of Dwayne Brown and center Justin Britt is horrifically bad. So this should be a good game for the Cowboys front four. But when you harass Russell Wilson, that also means that you have to contain him, because the last thing you want is Russell Wilson doing the Russell Wilson things we've seen week in and week out when he is just running around the backfield, making guys miss, playing backyard football, picking up a 40-yard gain on a play that should have been a 12-yard loss.
Chucking it deep to that fast man Tyler Lockett from my alma mater, K-State. All right, number 2 on the keys to the game, get Dak and Dez on the same page. It hasn't happened for 15 games. Why would it happen now, Tom?
I don't know what the answer is here, unfortunately. I don't
14
know.
Games.
I don't know how to make it work properly here. I don't know what's wrong with this connection. Maybe they just aren't perfect fits together. We've seen the flashes of it, plays like that, a good throw there by Dak to Dez. Dez being dangerous after the catch. I'd like to see the Cowboys just get Dez the ball in space, and they haven't really done that as of late. We'll see if the Cowboys are able to get it going here. Against Seattle with no Richard Sherman, you would think Dez will be able to step up, but he didn't really step up against Sean Smith, who's been a shell of his former self from what we saw in Kansas City. Dez has got to find a way to be a little bit more productive, and that also relies on Dak and getting that connection going.
William chiming in. Good to see you this week. Can we please start using Switzer more in the offense than just a decoy? William's much higher on Ryan Switzer than I think I am. Tom, what are your thoughts?
I would like to see more Switzer. He doesn't play a ton of snaps. I think he was the guy they brought in motion on the fourth and one play. Like, what are you doing, Cowboys? Look, Cole Beasley doesn't seem like himself. The main issue is, and when we've come down to this time and time again, they like to use Noah Brown as a blocker, and he almost in the Vince Mailey role from last year as like a wide receiver tight end hybrid. With Ryan Switzer, the question is, you got to get him. He is going to be your 5th option. You're not going to pull Dez. You got to have Terrence or Bryce Butler on the outside. You got to have Witten on the field. You got to have Cole. Or you're going to pull Zeke or Witten in the end to put Ryan Switzer on the field. And the answer typically is no. So I would like to see more Ryan Switzer. I'm curious to see if they find ways to get him more work in the preseason, get him some more action, because I don't think that they want to pull Cole off the field right now. Maybe you try and do more 5-wide set there in the end, and you give Witten a breather. The issue isn't utilizing Switzer. It's that he's got to be on the inside. How do you make him fit on the roster?
Quick stats. Seahawks have allowed 6 receiving touchdowns, 2 wide receivers in the last 5 weeks. That's courtesy Mitchell Renz and our production team. Follow him on Twitter at MitchellRenz365 for all those great stats. All right, key number 3. You got to do it, right, Tom?
Yeah.
Feed the man. Feed the man.
You thought he was going to be a player to watch. I went a different direction. He's a key to the game. You got to get Zeke going. Look, I know he's been gone for 6 weeks. Just give him the ball 30 times. And dare Seattle to stack the box, free up the passing game there. That's going to be huge. I'm excited to see what Zeke has when he comes back. I expect good things. Maybe he's not going to be the full-fledged peak Zeke we've seen at times last year and this year, but I expect a 100-yard game out of Ezekiel Elliot this week.
It sounds good to me, Tom. When Cowboys rush that well, they win ball games.
Yes, they do. And we should see some more offense overall here with the Cowboys. The offense wasn't anywhere near the same without Ezekiel Elliott. When he was on the field, we were seeing 30 points a game from this Cowboys offense. Maybe it'll be a little bit easier here, but I think we're going to see that.
All right, let's get into our players to watch this week. Taco Charlton, he showed up in the game 33 snaps last week. That was a bit of a surprise.
Well, Benson Mayowa went down.
Yeah,
David Irving is hurt. That is why we saw more Taco Charlton. Bringing out our circle again here and put that together.
That is some great production value out of you.
So this here, that's a hold, by the way.
They
Blatant
don't
hold on Taco.
They don't call holds.
All right, so this was frankly one of Taco's best rushes all year. A near sack. Derek Carr got lucky just to get rid of the ball. I thought Taco looked better this week. I think he's starting to kind of get going a little bit. Now, it was against an iffy Raiders offensive line. Seattle's line is not any good either. You will see Taco Charlton play on the field when the Cowboys are in a passing down situation. Malik Collins will be, of course, your defensive tackle. Tyrone Crawford will kick inside to DT. And then at the edges will be DeMarcus Lawrence and Taco Charlton. And Taco's got to get some pressure because you know teams are going to be focused on the other three guys more so than Taco.
This players to watch portion is just going to be dominated by Michigan people. Let's go to player number 2, and that's BYRON Bell. He's going to get paired up with Frank Clark this week.
That's nice. I see what you did there. That was good. I'm like, wait a minute. I see what you did there.
For those people that didn't know, Frank Clark, who will be on the opposite side of BYRON Bell this week for the Seahawks, is a Michigan alum as well.
So with BYRON Bell, I hope the Cowboys plan better this week. Let's think, okay, there's not going to be any Tyron Smith. Let's make sure to give BYRON Bell some help. Let's chip. Let's have Zeke Elliott stay in the pass block. That'll be a big boost when on passing down. Zeke can stay in.
Kind of like letting Jason Witten block Khalil Mack.
Don't do that. Have him. Don't. I don't know.
That was a weird matchup. I don't know.
It's frustrating. That was frustrating.
Happened there.
I don't know if Dak had audibled out and changed the protection scheme, or if the Cowboys said, yeah, good idea. Let's put Jason Witten on Khalil Mack. Either way, it wasn't good. Frank Clark, who's going to be matched up against Bell, as you mentioned, Brett. 8 sacks this season.
All right, player to watch number 3 is Byron Jones. That snap count has been dropping. Kayvon Frazier getting more work. I see a comment from Jeffrey Johnson saying Frazier should be starting. Tom, thoughts?
You know that I am a big fan of Byron Jones when the Cowboys use him properly. As things stand right now, the Cowboys are putting a lanky, man-to-man focused corner/safety in the box as strong safety. Doesn't make any sense. They like him against tight ends. So when the Cowboys are in 3rd and short and it's an obvious rundown, with the way they're using their roster, yes, they should put Kayvon Frazier in over Byron Jones. Jones is a vastly superior cover man, but Frazier is good against the run in area. Jones tend to struggle. But this week against Jimmy Graham, match him up man-to-man. Jimmy Graham has been very quiet the past 2 weeks after a bunch of TDs before that. He's got to step up.
Do you like Jones against Graham?
It depends on how Seattle uses Jimmy Graham. They don't throw him the ball enough. So if Seattle keeps using Graham the way they've been, yeah, I think Byron Jones gets the better of Graham. But Graham's kind of banged up a little bit as well, so he's not 100%. He's been playing through some stuff.
All right, that's our Cowboys-Seahawks preview. Cowboys-Seahawks, 4:25 Eastern time on Fox. Be out there at AT&T Cowboys Stadium. Let's get some score predictions going. I've seen a few in the comments already. Get your score predictions in. We'll get them up on screen here as we close out the show. First and foremost, we're going to start with producer Lena, who is yet again on vacation. She still says Cowboys win 24-17. We didn't let new producer Harris pick because he's a Patriots fan.
Yeah, so we don't give him voting rights.
Tom, I said you'll see with my pick. To quote our esteemed 45th president, you'll see. You'll see. I go Cowboys 27-24. I'm actually not sure if it's going to be that high scoring or not. I mean, Seahawks did give up a bunch of points to the Rams, but I do like the Cowboys to win this week. I'm glad this game's at home, though.
If you had asked me a couple weeks ago, I would have said, you know what, Brett? I think Seattle's going to find a way to win, but I've changed my mind. I have altered my pick here. Cowboys win 27-20. I'm worried about the way Seattle played against the Rams. I don't think they're going to rebound in the way that they should. And I know one thing about Seattle. They are an inferior team on the road. The Cowboys are at home this week. I think it's a close game. Seattle comes out with a little bit more fire and focus here. But the Dallas Cowboys find a way to win this game. They keep those playoff hopes alive for at least another week.
So more or less, Tom, you're saying the Cowboys will get to 10-6 because you think they're going to beat the Eagles?
Yes. You brought it back because I forgot about that, what I said earlier.
I think the Eagles-Cowboys game in Week 17 is going to be a lot like last year's.
Eagles
will play fulls for a couple of series.
Because he needs the reps. He needs the reps, same like with Dak.
That's right. All right, that is the Cowboys Report for this week. If you missed anything, we'll be right back here on Loop. We've got the replays coming up for you. Today's episode is sponsored by The Guild. Visit stayguild.com for your next stay in Austin, Texas. It's like a luxury Airbnb. Comes with a virtual concierge. Everything that you need to be a tourist in Austin, Texas. If you need that bar or restaurant that you need to hit up, You don't know about it?
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. Just text them.
Yeah.
Text the Guild. They got a virtual concierge. They'll text you right back. They'll let you know what bar you need to hit up down there on 6th Street in Austin. Visit stayguild.com. Use that promo code CHATSPORTS for 15% off your next stay in Austin, Texas. For Tom Downey, I am Brett Scott. That is this week's Cowboys Report. We'll see you on Sunday.